Hello everyone, it's your boy Acharya Gaming here, and today we're gonna reaction to more SCP animation made by Detective Void. And today we're gonna reaction to SCP-1007 RU, the Nietzsche virus. I don't know how to pronounce Nietzsche virus, I guess, to pronounce it. Sorry if I cannot speak properly, to read that virus name. But yeah, you can say I am noob in English. But anyway, as I said, we're gonna reaction to this this SCP. And before we gonna reaction, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and turn on that notification, same as I do. Like, this is easy and you can do it just, I don't know, 5 seconds like that. So make sure to do that to my channel and his channel. He made a good content on SCP, and I just just watch and reaction his video. So anyway, no more talking, let's go to the reaction.
In the morning, while you're on duty in one of the SCP Foundation zones, you hear the wail of a siren. It means that danger's afoot and that you need to evacuate. This is extremely frightening because the Foundation houses deadly anomalous objects. Together with other zone staff, you run to designated exits for evacuation. Opening the door, you reel back in horror. There, you met by several staff members in full protective suits. You ask one of them what's happening, and you get an answer. There's a risk of infection because SCP-1007-RU could escape containment. So far, you're lucky because zone management has decided to put the staff in a 6-hour quarantine. While taking a sterilizing shower, you remember everything that you heard in training about SCP-1007.
I don't know what is that. I think it's kind of
you may have to face it today, and you would do well to survive.
Kind of
the virus is incredibly dangerous and can cause mass death and destruction. Along with
I don't know how to say. Kind of virus, I can say it like that.
Isolated by the staff of Zone 7, where it's being held at this very moment. SCP-1007 belongs to the Keter class. That is, the most dangerous. The chamber housing this Nietzsche virus must remain hermetically sealed in order to provide the level of protection. The room's entrance consists of a system of 3 airlock vestibules. Any staff member who enters SCP-1007's chamber must also wear full cycle protective suit. After contact with the object, they must take a sterilizing shower and quarantine for 6 hours. Now, you know this firsthand. But what you don't want to find out firsthand is what happens if someone starts to show signs of infection. If this happens, protocol requires immediate euthanasia and cremation of the person's remains. The probability of SCP-1007's escape is considered a high-risk event. According to protocol, the virus containment chamber, along with nearby premises, are now being sterilized. Ultra-high temperature treatment is being used for this. SCP-1007 is a type of virus unknown to modern science. Its effects on the body are irreversible, and mandatory neutralization of the infected is required. It takes anywhere from 2 to 4 hours from the moment of pathogen contact to see symptoms. The Nietzsche virus enters the body via airborne droplets or through direct contact.
You can say COVID-19.
Tears and other fluids also become infectious. The pathogen causes gradual mutation of a living organism's neurons. These changes cause an exponential increase in the infected person's pain threshold. That is, the rate of the indicator's growth increases in proportion to its value. Mutation takes place in stages, always according to the same scenario. Immediately after entering the body, the virus spreads quickly, infecting the brain and central nervous system. Then the infected individual experiences a sudden bout of severe pain, which leads to shock and loss of consciousness. Foundation specialists believe this moment marks the beginning of the disease's development. Research is currently underway to find a way to temporarily neutralize the virus and remove it from the body before this phase occurs. This mechanism is likely to save the subject from death. There have yet to be positive results from the study. After a few minutes of unconsciousness, the infected patient comes to. During this first stage of the disease, the infected person feels totally normal for the next 48 hours, sometimes for as long as 108 hours, and doesn't notice any changes in their body. Then the infected patient starts to feel a strong, steadily increasing pain. This phase has been named the period of activity. It lasts about 36 hours each time. At the period's peak, the subject loses consciousness. Presumably, the period of activity's mechanism is as follows.
Look at that body.
well-known effect on sensory neurons, nociceptors, which are activated only by painful stimuli, while the infected individual's threshold for pain increases. When the patient comes to, the altered neurons need time to adapt. Then, the virus starts the process of checking the function of the updated nociceptors. At this point, the infected individual enters the period of activity. The pain becomes unbearable. The nervous system becomes overloaded. The subject loses consciousness, and the entire cycle repeats itself again. With each stage, both the neuron's adaptation period and the individual's pain threshold increase exponentially. During the period of activity, the infected person experiences pain that reaches the limits of his current cycle. Before moving on to a new level, the pain might even exceed this threshold by a minuscule amount. This is likely when the process of moving to the next stage begins. All attempts to relieve the resulting pain with narcotics, hypnosis, or other methods have failed. It turns out that the virus creates its own chain of impulse transmission between pain receptors and the brain, actually duplicating the individual's nervous system. The secondary nervous system's mechanism of action is still unknown. There are no known drugs that have any effect on it, and moreover, during the period of activity, the virus keeps the body switched on. As such, the subject is essentially forced to stay awake, unable to lose consciousness until the period of activity has run its course.
That's
The duration
torture,
of the
you know?
period of activity doesn't
I think that's more like torture than helping this guy. Oh my god, poor soul, this guy.
depend on what stage the infected person is at. This fact also suggests that the virus performs some kind of routine check of its own modifications. How many of these reboots can happen is unknown, but it's likely an infinite amount. During the first series of experiments, none of the infected patients survived stage 6. Once, a lab rat managed to get to a 9th cycle. The experimenters decided to kill it, fearing the possible consequences of any further transitions. Despite an increased tolerance for pain, the infected individual's body itself remains virtually unchanged. It's the pain itself that signals physical damage to the body. This mechanism does not function during SCP-1007 infection. The main goal of studying infected people was to determine their threshold for pain. This is why many of the test subjects died from the physical injuries during experiments. Details of most studies are classified. We know
So
that
you say that they will not feel the pain, but they will die because, losing of blood and all the scar and everything. So you mean that they will not feel the pain, but they still will die? I mean, that is not, how to say, improve. I can say, I mean, that they will not help. It's just like you will come and die horrible. My god.
kinds of torture and mutilation methods were used on the test subjects. Even during the worst of them, the subjects remained conscious. Meanwhile, they felt the highest levels of pain during the active phase, and only in the parts of the body that had survived. Those who were infected remained conscious until they die, whether from critical blood loss or significant damage to the brain and spinal cord. Class D personnel, also known as expendables, were used to study SCP-1007. Some of them were unaware of having been infected. During one of the studies, the subject found out what the experiment was about, entering the active phase after nearly 2 hours and 18 minutes from the moment of infection. The experiment was supervised by the project manager, Dr. Lugenin, and his assistant, senior researcher Komov. The subject reported severe pain in his heart, head, stomach, skin, bones, and teeth.
Of
During
course.
the first cycle, he confessed to murder and rape, and begged for the pain to stop until the moment he lost consciousness. 3 minutes later, the subject regained consciousness with symptoms of amnesia. The extreme brutality of the
I can say it's more likely like you feel the pain, after that you go asleep. Like when you, how to say, if you get illness, you probably like you cannot do anything. You will like stay or lay down and sleeping after take a couple of pills to release the pain. So I think it's more like medicine, like that. When you over pain and everything, you get more hurting or more pain, you will likely will go asleep more. Yeah.
experiments brought the Nietzsche virus to the attention of the SCP-05 Council, among a number of other concerns. The Council then banned experiments that force an infected person to go through the 6th cycle. When the scientists objected, a member of the 054 Council suggested that they first try to imagine experiencing that kind of pain firsthand. Further, all future experiments had to be personally sanctioned by the Council. We know that after some time, the head of the SCP-1007 study Dr. Luganin demanded that the O5 Council put a stop to the experiments and to destroy the object. He called the Nietzsche virus an invention of the devil. The O5 Council insisted on continuing experiments in order to find a way to eliminate the active phase. This would allow the Nietzsche virus to be used for the Foundation's purposes and for the betterment of humanity. It could be used to create a class of particularly effective personnel. They would be able to work in conditions too dangerous for other employees. The Foundation would be able to achieve new levels of work with certain objects, not to mention the ability to create special task forces. Dr. Luganin made his dissatisfaction with the council's decision known.
I still do not understand why people like to do like that. You know, the risk of that is higher.
Previously suspected of sadism due to his involvement in allowing the Nietzsche virus to develop to the 6th stage. But his psychiatric evaluation didn't confirm this diagnosis. Later, Koma was able to get permission to experiment with people up to and including the 9th stage. Remembering all of this during a 6-hour quarantine, you realize that you're unlikely to be able to overcome SCP-1007, especially if you've already become infected. But you can try to survive and get to stage 9, or further. Potentially, you could become a superhuman with an abnormal sidekick.
Is
the
that
Nietzsche
Venom
virus,
over there?
like Tom Hardy and Venom in the movie
Yeah,
of the same
Venom.
name. To avoid any additional torture before the active phase, you can try to prepare your body for its onset. The SCP Foundation has advanced technologies and secret developments within its walls, so you can expect to find a hydro-respiration chamber in its arsenal. The infected person, that is, you, would be placed in this container close to the onset of the active phase. Your lungs would be filled with an oxygen-rich solution of perfluorocarbon compound base. Muscle relaxants and a cocktail of vitamins would be administered intramuscularly and intravenously. These measures wouldn't reduce the level of pain you feel, but they would allow your body to survive the transition to each new stage. However, this process doesn't seem particularly reliable. A high threshold for pain is typical in people with serious psychiatric conditions. It's been observed in schizophrenics, as well as in individuals with manic depressive and suicidal tendencies. It's entirely possible that at one of the stages of the Nietzsche virus, you would decide to leave the study voluntarily, or worse, turn into a psychopath. You would
I
not
mean, of
only stop
course,
feeling
I will
physical
kill
pain,
myself
but
because of
compassion, remorse,
torture, you know,
empathy as well.
torture.
Another option is to use SCP-291, the disassembler. This object belongs to the safe class and can disassemble the body of a living organism and put it
Holy
back together
shit,
without any negative
that's
side
horrible.
effects. In this case, each individual organ would be replaced with a healthy one. You would be disassembled, leaving only your original brain behind, and reassembled with new organs. However, there's still the problem of ensuring security while transporting an infected subject. There's the issue of removing the virus from the brain, where it actually sets up shop. Other than that, it's assumed that SCP-1007 has the ultimate goal of modifying an infected individual's nervous system. One Foundation scientist is of the opinion that the virus is a mechanism that tries to create a suitable host shell for an unknown vehicle. Viruses are actually not living organisms in the trust sense of the phrase. They don't grow, move, eat, nor do they use energy. They lack a cellular structure and don't have their own metabolism. These things can't even reproduce on their own. Scientists call viruses organisms on the edge of life and can't explain their origin. Some even believe that the viruses are a special form of life which might hint at an alien invasion. There's another serious danger to consider. The O5 Council is likely to destroy all of those who have come into contact with the virus, the mutations. SCP-1007's main mechanism of influence is to mutate the neurons of an infected person's body. But all viruses known to science adapt to their environment perfectly, then mutate and create new strains. What if the Nietzsche virus also progresses like this? You got lucky this time. False alarm. After 6 hours in quarantine, you return to your post. Even after the fear of unthinkable torment and euthanasia, one thought lingers in your mind. What scares you more than anything is that Foundation actually employs people like Koma, scientists who are willing to facilitate torture for the sake of science and profit. Or maybe SCP-1007-RU is not so simple. Why did Dr. Luganin's work on this subject attract the attention of the Foundation's upper management? It's not just that they allowed a suspected sadist to continue experiments on humans. Maybe the Nietzsche virus poses the threat of an invasion by an unknown life form. Write to us in the comments below and tell us what you think about this. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and to like this video. And be sure to...
Yeah, make sure to do that. Like, subscribe to his channel and my channel too. You know, he say subscribe and like. You know, do that to us. Anyway, I mean, yeah, I can say that that virus made by, you know, a human maybe, or come from another planet, we do not know. But still, I still do not understand why a human want to make a good weapon that actually will kill themselves, you know? I know you want to protect your country, to make another country scared scaring, not scaring. I mean, scare with you. Do not, messing around, or you will launch that nuclear and everything. But I think it will not solid everything solution. It's not a solution. I mean, war kind like the battle of death. You only have one life, and if you fail, your country will die and everything. But still, I mean, humanity. I think humanity. I cannot pronounce it, but still, as I say, human need to, do not make a bio weapon, because that kind of dangerous. Just imagine right now the virus we have been done right now. We need to get along. I cannot say it, but you know what I mean. So if this virus that we live in right now cannot handle by any country, even USA cannot do anything. Even we have the vaccine, but it do not mean that there cannot evolution. Okay. So I don't want to talk about politics and everything. Okay, I'm sorry about talking about that, but still. Yeah. By the way, make sure to follow me on Facebook. I made a new account streaming on Facebook. It's called Putra Ultra Gaming. I know it's not Ultra Ray Gaming, but yeah, I put that name on my Facebook to streaming. So tomorrow I will streaming on Facebook. So make sure to enjoy. I mean, not enjoy. I mean, make sure you guys follow my Facebook. Okay, Putra Ultra Gaming. Make sure to follow. I will put that on description down below. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good day. Have a good night. Goodbye and take care.